Hey everyone, my name is Luke Vandermillen. I'm the Director of Business Development here at RPAG. And today I'm really excited to talk to you all about all the different ways that RPAG's resources can help you when you're talking to your clients and prospects about benchmarking their fees, right? It's a huge thing that we do in the retirement plan industry, right? We always think about the three F's: funds, fees, fiduciary. So fees are obviously going to be at the top of your plan sponsors' minds all the time. And the more that you can help them understand their fees, as well as help them understand how to lower them, the more value you can bring to your plan sponsors. So today, what I really wanted to do was give you a couple of pointers on how you can leverage the RPAG Advisor portal to do exactly that, is to benchmark fees, find the right provider for your clients and prospects, and really be that one-stop shop or that one-stop pit stop for your clients when they have a question about the fees associated with their retirement plan. So what I plan to do is actually do a little bit more live demo here than I typically do because I'm a visual learner. And so I think there's no better way to show how we can help than actually demonstrating it. But before I do that, I really quickly want to just touch on a couple things to set the table for us for our discussion today. So, without much further preparation here, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about fee benchmarking. So, one of the things that I get asked a lot when I'm out there talking to advisors about RPAG is, how is RPAG different than other platforms that help advisors in the retirement plan industry? It's a very valid question that comes up a lot. And it's very easy to point to the litany of different technology resources that we provide. We believe here at RPAG that we have the best technology platform for retirement plan advisors in the industry. But for me, the biggest differentiator that we have are the people here in Aliso Viejo, the people that back up the technology. And so I wanted to start today with just a quick reminder of all of the team members here at RPAG that are here to support you, whether you're a client-facing advisor, whether you're working in operations, whether you're a account administrator or anything in between. We here at RPAG are here to help you make sure that your practice is successful. So, everything from, advisor service members. Ashley mentioned our support line that you're free to call into or email into if you ever need assistance with running reports or anything like that. But we also have a large amount of specialists on our team that can assist you with specific questions. For instance, our RFP systems manager, Christian, has been a member of our service team for a number of years and has a really defined specialty in the RFP and fee benchmarking world. So if you ever need to talk through with someone how to benchmark maybe a more complex plan or how to approach your prospects and introduce the idea of letting you do some project work for them, Christian and his team are a great resource to utilize. And I've listed some of the other things that we have here: ERISA compliance specialists, sales and marketing support. All of those folks are available here for you. And the way that you get in touch with them is exactly what I said earlier. Reach out to the support team at support@rpag.com or give us a call at 949-305-3859. That's the best place for you to start, and then a member of the advisor service team will get you in touch with whatever member of our team can help you the best. So I wanted to start out there to remind you that you're not alone in this, and that we're here to help you in any way that we can. So let's talk about fee benchmarking and RFPs in particular. So this is a slide that I actually used last year at the RPAG National Conference, and I wanted to bring your attention to it because I think despite the fact that there's only three numbers on this page, it tells a pretty robust story. Um, through RPAG's technology in 2024, we had over 60,000 proposals run through our system and over 70,000 benchmarking reports run through the system. So what that tells me is that over one in every two plans that are housed on the RPAG system are having their fees benchmarked in that given year. So as an advisor, what I think about, or what I would be thinking about, is am I benchmarking the fees for all of my clients' plans on an annual basis? Because if I'm not, there's probably another advisor in my area that is, right? That is going to them and saying, "Hey, has your current advisor shown you that your record keeping fees are really high or your investment fees are really high?" And so just these two top numbers here really point to me that fees are still very much a large topic of conversation for the retirement plan industry and still something that advisors are talking to plan sponsors about. And then lastly, there at the bottom, I saw this statistic in the Fidelity Plan Sponsor Survey. They publish one every year. It's a fantastic study. I can't recommend looking at it enough. There's a lot of great insights in there. They do a great job of gathering really accurate and powerful data over there at Fidelity. Um, but one of the things that caught my eye particularly is that they surveyed a large number of plan sponsors, and over 51% of their plan sponsors said that they're actively looking to change their record keepers, right? So think about how many plans are out there, how many plans are in your area, in your state, in your county, right? And if you said, okay, at least half of these plans are looking to maybe change their record keepers, I'll tell you what, plan sponsors don't know how to do that on their own. They need an advisor, an expert in the field to help guide them through that process. And so, to me, what this represents is a fantastic opportunity in the retirement plan industry to go out and really dominate the small plan market and help them find the best fit in terms of record keeper, TPA, investment provider, et cetera. So these statistics here are always what are kind of on my mind when I talk about fee benchmarking and RFPs with advisors and why it's so important. So before we get into the live demo portion here, let's talk a little bit about, how we look at benchmarking or what we look to benchmark here at RPAG and why we think that's important. So obviously, we start with investment fees, right? Investment management fees are, I would venture to say, one of the top things that plan sponsors think about when they think about fees associated with their retirement plan is, okay, I've got an investment lineup here. What does the investment lineup cost me? Now, this would be my definition of low-hanging fruit here. So the investment fees, while great and absolutely something you need to pay attention to, there's other components of a retirement plan's fee structure that you should be looking into, right? And so admin fees comes up all the time, right? What are we paying the record keeper? What are we paying a TPA, a custodian, all of these sorts of things. And one of the things that we've seen a big shift in, and I'd say the last 5 or 6 years, is how those admin fees are structured, right? Because investment fees are always taken out of or paid for by plan participants. But admin fees can be either billed to the plan sponsor, they can be taken out of participant accounts, they can even sometimes be paid out of revenue sharing, right? And so one of the things I recommend you as an advisor to do is look at each of your plan's 408(b)(2) that you get from the record keeper and really look at from a layman's perspective, how are these fees represented to a plan sponsor? If I was just, if I'm Jane Doe and I'm, the CFO at a small business in Des Moines, Iowa, and I look at this fee disclosure, what do I get from it? Because we all know these 408(b)(2)s are not uniform throughout the industry. Every record keeper has a slightly different format and a way that they show the fees. And so one of the things that I think is really important, and I hear a lot, is, you know, an advisor will be taking a plan out to bid, benchmarking fees and saying, okay, well, the current record keeping cost is zero. And that always gives me pause. I go, zero, huh? The record keeper's just doing it for free? That's pretty good. But when you take a deeper dive through some more in-depth analysis, what you find out is that there's a pretty hefty fee being collected through revenue sharing or some other kind of backdoor 12b1 fees type way that investment or record keeping providers are collecting their fees. So having a really good understanding of each of your plan's fee structures is paramount to making sure that you're providing them with a really wide and encompassing view of their fees. And then lastly here, of course, as most of us are advisors on this call, right? Advisory fees are always going to be important to benchmark. And one of the things we hear all the time, especially through the RPAG community, where we are, for the most part, retirement plan specialists or elite retirement plan advisors, is how do I communicate the fact that I might be more expensive than other advisors, but I'm delivering more value. I'm providing a higher level of service. In other words, you get what you pay for. These are three things that when we're looking at benchmarking a plan, we take the total plan cost and really put them into these three buckets here to get a true sense of where there might be some problem areas with the plan. So focusing in on the admin fees here, what it really comes down to is matching your plan with the correct provider, right? We all know out there that, there's no one size fits all for record keepers and plans. Record keeper A might be a great fit for 10 of your plans, but that 11th plan might say, oh, they're the worst record keeper ever. They can't do what we need them to do. So they might need to go find a different record keeper. It's why so many advisors that I talk to will, be working with 5, 10, 15 different providers across their book of business because there are so many different complex needs that a plan might have. And so what we want to do is find what is the perfect match for this plan and where is the provider that can satisfy all of the needs, whether it's education, whether it's payroll, whether it's investment management needs. All of these different things can play into the factor of finding the right record keeper TPA for your prospect or client. And so here at RPAG, we've developed a suite of resources to help you find the perfect fit for every one of your plans. And so I know I see a lot of familiar names here on the session today. So hopefully I won't be breaking any news in terms of what you have available to you. But when you look at the RPAG fee benchmarking and RFP suite, really you're kind of looking at three pillars of what we do. On the far left is our longest standing resource, the provider analysis. This would be what we would refer to as a live bid RFP, where I'm taking the current plan information that I have for this plan, taking the current fee and service structure that I have with this plan's current record keeper, and then I'm going out to a select group of 3, 4, 5 different record keepers and getting proposals from them based on those fees and services and the plan information that you're presenting to them. And what you get is the most accurate look at what does the record keeping and TPA market look like for this particular plan. So the provider analysis in a perfect world would be something that you would do for every single plan every year, right? It would be great if we had the time to do that, but unfortunately, our time is valuable, right? And, if we were only working with 2, 3, 4, 5 retirement plan clients, be it'd be pretty easy to take them all out to bid every year. However, as your book of business grows, it becomes less and less feasible to do a, one, 200 data point plus analysis for every single one of your plan partners. And so that's why RPAG developed the plan fees suite of resources to give you quick and easy reports to download in a matter of seconds for your retirement plan clients that allow you to quickly benchmark their fees or find the right provider for them. So the plan fees resources consist of Prism, which is a total fee benchmarking report, Prism 365, which is a advisor fee and service benchmarking report, and then our latest and greatest resource here in the RPAG suite, RFP Express, which combines the live bid portion and aspect of the provider analysis with the ease and efficiency of the Plan Fees Prism resources. So what I want to do here coming up is show you how within the RPAG portal you can access and utilize every single one of these different resources that you have available to you. And again, as I'm going through this, please feel free to put questions into the Q&A feature, and I'll make sure at the end of today's presentation to address all of the questions that we receive through the chat function. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the RPAG Advisor portal here, and let's talk about how we access all of the different resources that I just talked about here. So what I'll do is go ahead and switch to my other screen here. Okie dokie. So this should look pretty familiar to you folks. This is the RPAG Advisor portal. This is what you log into to run all of the great reports that we at RPAG offer to you through our technology platform. So I want to start with the plan fees resources and then work our way up to the provider analysis resource. So many of you on the call know that to access Plan Fees Prism, you can go into the RPAG main menu. Under the Tools category, you'll see Plan Fees right at the top there. You can click on Plan Fees, it'll take you into the Plan Fees platform, and then you'll be able to very easily put in plan information and benchmark a plan. What I want to show you is a little bit of a pro tip here that I don't think too many people know about, but it can actually save you quite a bit of time, especially if you're benchmarking a large number of plans. Maybe I have 20, 25, 30 different plans that I need to benchmark this week through plan fees. So I need to know the quickest and easiest way to do that. So the way to do that, the pro tip I want to show you here is in your client and prospect list in RPAG, you'll be able to go directly to plan fees actually through a client. So what I'll do here is actually pull up the a sample client that I've built in RPAG, my sample client LV here. And this takes us to what we refer to as the client details page. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of our screen here and then click on View Plan right on the top right-hand corner of this plan card. And then this takes us to what we call the plan details page. So this is more granular information about the plan. I can see, who our record keeper is, who our relationship manager is at that record keeper, and all of that fun stuff. So what I'm going to do here is actually scroll all the way down to the very bottom of our screen here, and we'll see a list of reports that we can utilize for this plan. Everything from investments to fee benchmarking to plan design and everything in between. What you'll notice here is there's actually under fee benchmarking, there's a Plan Fees Prism button. And if I click on Plan Fees Prism here, it's actually going to take me directly to the Plan Fees Prism platform to run this report. And the really neat thing here is, if you're probably noticing it right now, is it automatically populated this page with all of the plan information that I have already stored in RPAG. So you can see the investment fees came over, the record keeping fees, the advisor fees, all of that stuff came over. So a good note to have is, if you're utilizing the RPAG platform, a good rule of thumb is to have as much information stored in the platform as possible because all of our different reporting talks to each other. And so, whether you're running a plan fees prism report or you're running an investment review, but you want to include some fee information in there, it's really, really powerful to have all this data stored in RPAG already. So take the time to put the information in, and then you'll be able to use every single RPAG report you have available to you. So with this Prism report here, I can just go ahead, since all the information ported over, I can click Create Prism Benchmark there at the bottom. You can see my sample plan here is shade over $15 million. And if I scroll down here, it takes all of that fee information that I've already pulled over from the RPAG portal. It says, okay, we're going to compare this plan to plans between about 10 and a half and 19 and a half million dollars. We have about 1,300 plans that match that size within the RPAG database. And then all the way down at the bottom here, we can see the data that we can use to analyze this plan. So in the purple column on the far left here, we have the current record keeping, investment, advisory, and TPA fees available for us. And then we have the low, average, and high of that data universe that we're looking at. So this is a really quick and easy way for us within just about 30 seconds or less to figure out, okay, for this $15 million client or prospect I'm working with, are they overpaying for record keeping fees? Is their investment lineup too expensive? Or is their current advisor charging them too much? It's a really easy way for us to do that because, and this comes back to my earlier point, is at the bottom of the page here, if we look at the total fee number, you can see this fee is 88 basis points, which puts them between the low and the average here. So I would say, okay, that's a pretty well-priced plan. Nothing too nothing too concerning about that. But then if we look at the different components here, we actually see, well, okay, the advisor for this plan is charging 40 basis points, which is well over the high of this data set. So maybe either if we're the current advisor, maybe we look to potentially lower that fee a little bit, or if this is a prospect, we point that out to them and say, hey, your current advisor is certainly charging you a lot of money to be the advisor on this plan. And then with just a click of a button here, you can hit download Prism report, and it's going to download a nice 7 to 8 page report that you can take to a client or prospect that really tells a easy to understand story for your plan sponsors and really lays this information out in a digestible way. It's not too complex. It's something that, a layperson can understand who's not in the industry and helps you tell that story of, here's what your fees look like. Here's where the problem areas might be. Here's how I can help you. That's kind of the idea with the Prism benchmarking report. So I recommend utilizing this report for any sort of prospect meeting that you're doing, any sort of annual checkup you're doing with a client. It's a great way for you to keep your clients and prospects in the know about their fee structure. So that's the Plan Fees Prism report here. So what we're going to do next is actually go back into the RPAG portal here. And we're back here at the plan details page within RPAG. Now, let's say through our Plan Fees Prism exercise that we just did, we identified that the record keeping fee might be a little out of line. Record keeping fee is really expensive based on the plan size. So what we might propose to a plan sponsor is, hey, let's take this plan out to bid and see what else is out there in terms of other record keeping providers and get an idea of hey, what would other record keepers charge for to be a client of this plan? So you can do that two ways through RPAG. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we have the live bid provider analysis report that's available, and I'll show that here momentarily. But a quicker and easier way to take a plan out to bid is to use RFP Express. So again, most of you know, if you go into your main menu, and under the tools category here, we have RFP Express. And oh, looks like I'm actually still on the Prism screen here. Thanks for the heads up there. Um, Now we're on the RPAG screen here. And you can see in the RPAG main menu, under the tools category, we have RFP Express available to us. But just like that Prism report, instead of going through the main menu and then typing in the plan information into RFP Express, if I go into this plan details page and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen here, right under that Prism button, there's going to be an RFP Express button here. And this is going to do exactly what that Prism report just did, where it's going to take us directly into RFP Express here, where I can click Start a New Report. And then you can see here, it actually, again, pulls over all of the information that we have stored in the RPAG Advisor portal for us so that we don't have to type in this information manually. Now, it'll save you, a couple minutes per plan, but when you extrapolate that on, a whole book of business, it's saving you a significant amount of time, these little shortcuts that you have available to you. So I highly recommend, especially if you have the plan information already saved in RPAG, you might as well just go through the plan details page and have that automatically pull in there for you. So with RFP Express, if you haven't seen the report before, what this allows you to do is get a really quick idea of what other record keepers would charge to be the record keeper on the plan in question here. Um, so what I have here is again, the same sample plan that we were looking at, $15 million plan that's currently with Principal. It's got, 78 participants, and you can see all the fee information down below there. Um, if I click next here, it's going to ask us a couple quick questions. How likely is the plan to move? For our purposes, I'm just going to say very unlikely, but this communicates to the bidding providers. Is this more of just a benchmarking exercise, or is this plan really seriously looking to move to a different record keeper? And then the other question it's going to quickly ask you here is, do you want advisor compensation included in your report? If you say yes, you can input what the bidder should build into the proposals. If you say no, it's just going to leave that out here. So I'm going to click no here and then click next. And so what the system is actually doing right now is here at RPAG, we've worked directly with over 30 of the top record keepers in the retirement plan industry. And what we've had them do is provide us with their pricing structures, and we've digitized them for them. So what that allows us to do here is to very quickly for you to take the plan information that you already have stored in RPAG and then cross-reference that with all of the different pricing structures that we have saved within our platform. And it gives you a very quick and easy look at, okay, here are all these different record keepers that I have available to me. You see, American funds, we see a census, we see Paychex, Transamerica. What you're seeing right now on the screen is what we call instant quotes. And so what that means is that based on the information that I just cross-referenced with the pricing structures of the record keepers, we had an automatic match for these different record keepers that were showing up here. Again, where the instant quote name comes up. But these aren't all the record keepers that participate in this platform. Actually, if I scroll down here, you'll see a section where we can get what we call custom quotes. And this is where you can actually tap a record keeper on a shoulder and say, hey, Empower, I didn't see an instant quote for you based on the plan specs that I put in, but I'd still like to include you in this proposal process. So I can actually write through this section here, say, hey, Empower, I'd like a bundled quote for you on the Empower Select platform. And I can specify the investment menu I'd like them to use, put in any additional instructions in here. And then when I click on submit down here in the bottom right-hand corner, it's going to give us, it's actually send a request directly to these providers so that they can submit their proposal directly into RFP Express here. Once the provider does that, you will receive an email notification that says, hey, Empower's uploaded their proposal for plan ABC. You can go back into RFP Express here and review that proposal. And then when you download the RFP Express report, this exports into a client-facing or prospect-facing deliverable. It actually puts all of these proposals together for you side by side. So, and I'll pull this RFP Express report up here in a second. But what, again, this allows you to do is it saves you time when working with a client or prospect, but still allows you to take them through that really important process of analyzing who their current record keeper is and what other record keepers might charge for their plan. So let me go ahead and I'll switch my screen over here. So this is an example of one of the pages on the RFP Express report. So you can see I've got a sample plan here that we got proposals from American Funds, Empower, Fidelity, and Transamerica. Our system automatically puts them in a side-by-side comparison here. And then we also have a column here that is dedicated to the current fees as well. So within just a couple of minutes, I get a really robust and easy to understand breakdown of the current fees and services with the proposals that we've gotten as well. So this RFP Express report, great for prospects, great for some of your smaller plans, smaller clients that you maybe can't dedicate as much time as your bigger plans to, but still want to give them this level of due diligence and a breakdown for. RFP Express is great to do that. So wrapping up here to our third and final report is going to be the provider analysis. So again, I was looking at the attendee list here on the webinar, and I saw a lot of familiar names and faces on that attendee list. And a lot of you might be familiar with the provider analysis by its former name, the B3, where we're benchmarking investment fees and services. But the provider analysis has actually gone through some really cool updates in the last few years that I want to make sure that you're fully aware of. And so the provider analysis, again, is going to be available under this fee benchmarking category on the plan details page. An even quicker way to get to the provider analysis page is if I go into a client, again, my little sample client LV here, and I scroll to the bottom of the screen here. On these plan cards that you see at the bottom of the screen, there's a button that says fee benchmarking. And if I click this button, it takes me right to a section where I can do a provider analysis, a live bid RFP for this plan. So like I mentioned earlier, this plan or this report is the most customizable and robust resource that we have in our RFP and fee benchmarking suite. So when I go into the provider analysis report here, the first thing it's going to ask me is to name a report. So I'll just say this is our little sample webinar report. And then it's going to ask me what kind of report I'd want to run. So we have three options: services, services and fees, and services, fees, and investments. So this is one of the updates that we included in our provider analysis report. Some of the feedback that we got from advisors over the past few years was, hey, when I do these sorts of live bid RFP reports and I include the option for an investment mapping, some of the record keepers tend to try to game the system a little bit. And the best example of that is they put in an entire lineup of index funds into the fund mapping section so that their investment costs look way lower than their competitors, and then in turn, their total cost also looks lower. And so what we wanted to do was add some customization options where you can actually choose to exclude the investment option and say, hey, we just want to look at the fee information here in this RFP report. And so we're going to assume that all of the bidding providers have an average investment fee of 30 basis points or whatever the number is that you choose. And so with the ability to do just services and fees, you have that option available to you. The other thing too that some of the folks that I know use RPAG don't know is that one of the responsibilities of the RPAG RFP and fee benchmarking team does is they are in constant communication with dozens and dozens of different record keeping providers across the industry to keep a 400 plus data point questionnaire up to date that has a list of all the different services and fees that that a record keeper provides. Everything from compliance to employee communications, employee mailings, everything in between there. So if you're just looking for a quick list of services that a provider office offers, you can actually use the services only report and automatically pull that questionnaire right from our database. But really quickly here, I just want to show you a couple of the other things that are new with the RPAG provider analysis. So I'm going to start a services and fees report here. And what will pop up here is actually a quick questionnaire to help you format your report. So you can see at the bottom here, it's going to ask again, how likely is this plan going to move? So letting your record keeping partners know, how serious is this plan on moving? The next question it's going to ask is, do we want to include the current pricing in the report? If this plan is currently with record keeper A, do we want to include record keeper A's pricing in here? In most cases, you do, but there are certain scenarios where a plan might be already convinced to leave, and so they don't even want to bother with it. So you might say no in this circumstance, but I'll say yes here. Same question as the RFP Express report asked. Do we want to build in advisor compensation here? I'm going to say no for right now. And then the remaining questions here are going to help us format, how much data is going to be in this report. So that really robust service highlight questionnaire that I just referenced, you can choose to include the full questionnaire, all 21 sections of it, or maybe you say, hey, I want to do kind of a slimmed down version, kind of a greatest hits, so to speak, a focused questionnaire. And then in similar fashion, when we ask the bidders for their fee information, we can ask them for all of their record keeping fees. So all of their incidentals, all of their little fees that might be charged based on given circumstances. Or we can say, hey, I just want the annual record keeping number. That's it. I want to know that the record keep is going to charge 35 basis points, 40 basis points, whatever it is, right then and there. Which, with that question, what you're really dictating is how long it'll take the record keepers to respond to you. There's a little bit of variance in terms of record keeper responses, but what I've typically seen in my experience is if you ask for just the short fees, you're looking at a turnaround of about 3 business days. If you ask for the full fees, you're looking at maybe 5 or more business days for them to get back to you. That's just what I've seen anecdotally in my time running these reports. And then lastly here, the system asks, hey, are there any custom questions that we want to ask of the record keepers and get their responses from them? So these custom questions are, typically based around, hey, do you provide any support for Spanish-speaking participants? Um, this plan has both a DC and a DB plan. How would you accommodate those two and everything in between? So, if there are specific questions that you and your client want to make sure are answered through this process, this custom questions section will allow you to do that. And then once you fill out this questionnaire, it asks you for what bidding providers you'd like to include. It sends them the bidding providers requests out. And then just like RFP Express, you get a email notification that tells you when the bidding providers have responded. And then just to kind of show you real quick here, what a provider analysis report looks like once it's been completed. I'll pull this up onto the page here. So this provider analysis report has a very similar look and feel to other RPAG reports you're used to utilizing, like the fiduciary investment review or the fiduciary plan review. Um, Another cool thing about the provider analysis is it can be completely private labeled. So you can have your firm's branding on this report as well as your client's logo. But what this report does is it gives a really simple breakdown, and I apologize for skipping through a little bit here. And I should have mentioned it earlier too. If anyone would like me to send them sample versions of any of these reports, I'd be happy to do that. You can also find them in the Resource Center in RPAG. There's a folder called Sample Reports that you can pull them from. But this report just takes the proposals that you've received from your bidding providers and it puts them into an apples to apples comparison. So you can see for each of the bidding providers that you include here, you've got a little one-page elevator pitch that automatically populates in here for each of the bidding providers. You'll have a page that clearly outlines the plan assumptions that were used in this bidding process. And then last but not least here, we get a breakdown of the fee information that we got from each of the record keepers. And again, tying this all back together with one of the earlier points I made here is not only do we get a total fee comparison at the bottom there, but we also get a nice breakout of the advisor, record keeper, and investment fees here for us too as well. And then there's, like I mentioned earlier, tons and tons of other information that you can include in here. Fee information, service information. Highly recommend taking a look at one of these sample reports so you can break that down there. So again, I know I just threw a lot at you there in a few minutes. We only covered a few different reports. But I can't stress enough that the RPAG support team is here to help you in any way possible. So if you would like a one-on-one walkthrough of how to run any of these reports, please feel free to message us at support@rpag.com or give us a call at 949-305-3859, and we'd be happy to help you with any of your questions there. I have up on the screen right now my contact information. If you have any questions about any of these resources or want to talk to someone about them, feel free to reach out to me, and either myself or one of my team members will make sure to assist you expeditiously. So thanks again for your time today, and we look forward to hearing from you very soon. Take care now.